Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel here. Mike Chase, back after a bit of a hiatus. Not back with Seattle Seahawks franchise. Not sure when that's coming back just yet. But back really to discuss the news I think everyone has been talking about here. The report that came out that Madden 24 is reportedly a make or break game for the franchise. And this came from a report from Insider Gaming's Mike Straw that the upcoming release likely slated for August will be make or break for the series after that update file that caused a lot of people to lose their franchise mode saves late last year. Apparently, leadership at EA is pretty displeased with how a lot of things have been going with Madden for a while now. Especially having to offer that 50% discount to probably a lot of people. I'm not sure how many people that is, but I'm sure it was a lot. I doubt it really makes that much of a difference for EA. I mean, they're going to make a bunch of money off of the game anyways from people who buy the Super Mega Ultimate Hall of Fame edition and then buy all of the MUT coins and things like that. But that still costs them money in a way, right? And apparently EA has big plans for Madden 24 and the management of the game. That probably means Clint Oldenburg. That probably means a lot of those sort of the managers of the development of that game, but mostly Clint. He's the gameplay head, the guy who's the head of the franchise mode. I'm sort of forgetting his name. Those guys, that's probably who they're talking about here when they say that, Madden 24 is not just a big year for the game, but it's a big year probably for the future of those guys' positions. A lot of those guys, they've worked on Madden now for almost a decade. I know for a fact Clint has probably been there over 10 years. And it would make sense that, at some point when you keep having a game that has sort of been, I would say, maligned as Madden has been, and probably rightfully so, right? I think a lot of us would agree with that. It shouldn't surprise anyone. It really shouldn't surprise them that they're kind of at a point right now where, where maybe EA would, probably move on. You also have the college game. That'll be coming out next year. So, now you're going to have another project that's football in-house that EA can really compare it to, where they can sort of look at it and go, okay, well, this team's doing X, Y, and Z. You guys have been trying to do X, Y, and Z now for 7-8 years, and you haven't even come close to doing that. So I think that's something you could potentially see. Also for the fact, I really want people to remember this. I know a lot of people said, do you really buy this? A lot of people don't trust EA. This is them just trying to say things to get into the community's favor and things like that. And that might be true, and that probably is true, right? But at the same time, one of the things I think people really do have to remember with this is that when the rights came up just a few years ago for the NFL exclusive license, or really just a license in general, when that came up, look, it was stated that the NFL didn't exactly just rush to EA to, to just re-up the deal. Like, the NFL did go and they talked to other studios. They talked to 2K, Take-Two Interactive, which owns 2K, but they went and talked to them. They talked to San Diego Studios, Sony San Diego, SDS. They went and talked to them. The guys who make MLB The Show. They went and talked to a lot of different people. And a lot of people don't know what that was about. Eventually, they did make a deal with 2K to make that arcade game, which we haven't seen anything from yet. Granted, COVID probably completely destroyed that thing's development, but still, it's just one of those things where it shouldn't really surprise anyone that, the heat's on for EA right now, probably in regards to the NFL license. They probably feel heat. That's probably why they want to make sure that college... It's probably why college got delayed. Let's be honest. They have to make... There's a very real possibility in 3 or 4 years. Let's say Madden, craps the bed again. There's a very real chance that the only actual football game EA has, American football, is actually probably could potentially end up being the college game. Right? They have to make sure that, they have something in case they lose the license, or, let's say someone else puts in a bunch of money for the exclusive license, or even the possibility that someone matches EA just to have sort of the same rights, maybe not necessarily exclusive, but just have access to the NFL teams and things like that. That's really what matters, is the NFL teams and things like that. Not necessarily because, you know, you can get rights to the players. That's what 2K has for the. You see all these other games that come out, these mobile games, they have, you know, the rights to the NFL Players Association. What really matters is the exclusive rights that EA holds for the teams, you know, all that stuff on consoles. So that's kind of what matters. So it would make sense that, you know, the heat's on for EA, I feel. I don't think there's anything too out there about that. And that's probably why this upcoming Madden would be a make or break for them, because the heat's on. Like I said, they have to nail this game, and I think really start going on a direction where, you know, Madden, I don't want to say is great, but it's a game where, you know, you don't have every year, it feels like there's something, right? Every year it feels like it's something. Whether something doesn't work, the saved Grand Madden share hasn't worked, and feels like a couple years now still. There's still issues with that. Resetting franchises back to certain states, that was an issue. I could have swore that popped up last Madden, but it was brutal this year. It basically derailed one of my series, this Madden cycle. And so the fact that that's been a problem, you know, I think, and that's a basic thing to get right. That should not have been a problem that took months to fix. You know, the whole point of them, you know, all those years ago, switching franchise to how it is now, taking it online like they did, the whole point of that was to be able to quickly fix things, quickly add things, fix issues with it. And the fact that it would be code that they would understand and know. That was the whole point of losing things like creative team and coordinators and all these things that have taken a long time for them to get back into the game. That was the point of us losing them originally. And then you had an issue here where they couldn't even get the saves to actually work. So it's just something like that where it's like, you know, what is going on over there? And I think, you know, I wouldn't be shocked. You know, this stuff gets publicized a lot. It's all over social media. The NFL pays attention to that stuff. You know, so for everyone who's always kind of questioned why people have complained, and I don't want to, once again, I'm trying not to swear on here, but, you know, have maybe bitched so much. A lot of people wonder, why do people do that so much? This is sort of why people do it. Because, look, does it make a difference right away? No, it doesn't make a difference right away. But if it happens enough over time, where you have a product in Madden where that's not really highly regarded, and you have a product that is sort of just derided by a lot of the fan base, NFL fans, I think you know, I don't think it should surprise anyone that eventually that's going to get back to the league office. The NFL hears, they see everything, and eventually the NFL league office probably started looking like, hey, we have a product here that people aren't ecstatic with. You have a product here that every time it comes out, people trash it. We have a product here where our players trash it eventually. Our players are like, what the hell is this? So, you know, eventually that is going to reach the league office. They are going to consider, you know, the NFL knows how important it is to have a game out, right? They know the value of video games. All these leagues do. Why do you think Major League Baseball pressed Sony to eventually put MLB The Show onto Switch, onto Xbox? You know, these things can drive growth of these leagues. If you have a great game, it's not the sole thing that can do it, but it's a big part of it. And, you know, as generations stop watching TV, they're going to play more video games. And the NFL probably views it as, if we have a great game out that kids play, eventually as they get older, they're probably gonna watch the NFL because they remembered playing the game a bunch, right? It's not just you know, it's not a product that's just made for right now in the next 5 years. It's for the next 15 years of the league's viability. And instead of actually having a great game, the NFL has a subpar game out, and they've had kind of subpar games out. My phone just can't stop going off. They've had subpar games out now for the NFL for what feels like almost 20 years, it feels like. I'm gonna say almost 20 years, because if we're going back 20 years, we're talking about Madden 04, 05. But when you start, again, when you, I'm making some people feel old talking about those games being 20 years old. But you start talking about those sorts of games, and then, as you switch on to the next console generation, so Madden 07, 08, those sorts of games like that, those weren't great games either. When you think about it, those weren't great games. Madden 10, 11, 12, those games were okay. They weren't great. They were fine. But then when you get onto the PS4 generation, really, let's be honest, we had some pretty just bad Maddens for most of that console generation. And really, currently, Madden is kind of still, have they improved things? Yes. One of the main things I think they've really improved over the past few years is the passing game. I think they've improved that. I think they've opened that up a bit. Linebackers, jumping all over the place. They've fixed a lot of that. I appreciate that. But have they made strides in franchise mode? Yes. Not as much as I would like. And apparently this report, states that, they have big plans for franchise mode in Madden 24. Granted, I felt that way when we didn't get a lot of updates for Madden 23 in franchise. I felt, well, we're probably going to get a bunch in Madden 24. I don't know why I felt that way. I just did. It makes sense. Maybe that team has a bunch of stuff they're working on for 24, and we're going to get in Madden 24. So, but I think, do I buy this report? I know a lot of people say don't trust it. It's whatever. Personally, I do buy this report. I do think it makes sense that there's probably a lot of pressure on those teams right now in EA, in Orlando, where they make the game. There's probably a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of pressure on those guys to make a pleasing game. I don't think we can come back. I don't think those guys are going to have great job security if we're in a situation where, again, it's the same sort of discourse we've had this past Madden cycle or previous Madden cycles, where it's like, hey, they didn't do anything to franchise mode. The gameplay, the run blocking still messed up. How is the blocking logic still so bad? Why is this? Why is that? What's up with this? Why doesn't this work? How come this is, if it's a lot of that, in coming out of Madden 24, you're probably going to hear about a lot of shakeups on those teams. You're probably going to hear about some restructuring going on there. They want this game, I think, to sort of be viewed in the same light of 2K and MLB The Show. They want it to be a leading game. If Madden was great again, EA probably views it as, we could probably protect our exclusivity, right? The NFL won't have to go talk to 2K. They won't have to go talk to all these other different studios. They know that we can make a good product. And that's not something they would have to worry about. They wouldn't have to worry about losing the license. More people would buy the game if it kind of regained its reputation that it used to have of being a great sports game. Right now, it doesn't have that reputation anymore. The Madden reputation, despite, there's still people who, I saw this on Twitter, there's still people who think linebackers are these super crazy players that just jump up all out of the air and make superhuman plays all game. You know that's not really the case. I know that's not really the case, but it is what it is, right? Like, it's just the reputation Madden's earned. Madden's earned that poor reputation over the past 20 years. And I think what's happening now is there's people inside of EA that's like, that needs to turn around. That can't be the reputation of our game anymore. Right? The reputation of our game can't be it's this god-awful game and people are still talking about issues that haven't been an issue now really for about 3-4 years. I mean, you play Madden, linebackers are almost kind of worthless in coverage. They're kind of almost like too bad, if in a way, honestly, right? Like, so it's just one of the things I think is just really interesting that, I'm not too shocked. Personally, like I said, I do buy that. I buy that there are people in EA, higher ups, who have probably, made it clear to some of these guys, like Clint and, whoever else on those teams, like, guys, it's time to step it up. Like, we're just not going to accept you coming out here and just, making a mediocre product anymore. It's just, we can't accept that anymore. This game needs to turn a corner, or there's going to be some serious changes here. And to me, that would make sense, you know. So again, what do you guys think? I rambled in this video a little bit, not as much as I thought I was going to, but still, you know, it's just, I think it's something really interesting. It's really fascinating that, you know, seeing this finally, you know, some guys who maybe some of us want to see not be working on this game anymore, depending on how this game turns out next year or this year, depending on how Madden 24 turns out, they might not be working on this game much longer. And that doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really surprise me that, you know, this is finally it's finally come to this point. You know, we've always heard that, oh, you know, EA doesn't let them do this. They don't let them do, like, they don't let them improve the run blocking? Like, really? They don't let them make sure that the franchise files correctly save? Like, you know what I mean? Like at some point you can't, you know, with that Madden team, I think at some point the excuses kind of have to stop. Right? The excuses have to stop. And you can't just keep, oh, it's the higher ups, it's the higher ups. Am I sure that the higher ups don't make things easy for them? Yes, I'm 100% sure that's the case. But at the same time, it can't be every issue that you experience is sort of, oh, that's on the higher ups. That's not on us. That's on them. That's their fault, not our fault. It's their fault. So that's just something I feel personally. You know, like I think the buck has to stop with someone on that team, and it sounds like it's going to be, you know, potentially if the game's not good, it's going to be, you know, Clint Olenberg and those boys. So it's been a long time coming. I think a lot of us feel. You know, do I think this, you know, does this guarantee Madden 24 is going to be the greatest Madden game of all time? You know, no, of course not. But I think it could be a situation where the game's, I hope that it's greatly improved. I hope that, you know, we finally see a game that's, you know, a little more next gen, if you will. You know, the gameplay you're showing here, honestly, if it wasn't for maybe the actual play call screen, and I showed someone this and said, hey, this is, you know, PS4 Madden, they would probably believe me. They'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. You know what I mean? Like, this game doesn't look next gen at all. There's so many issues like that really bother me. But either way, I'm gonna get out of here. I've rambled long enough. What do you guys think? Do you guys think EA actually does mean it with this report that this is kind of a make or break year for this team? I personally do. I think there's a lot of writing on the wall that, you know, EA's position with football isn't as secure as some might think. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. So, but anyway, what you guys think? Leave it down in the comment. Leave an emoji. Leave a smiley face emoji if you think this is good news. Leave a crying, laughing face emoji if you think EA's full of it this time. Yeah. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to hit like, sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.